Hello everyone, Blade Bananas here. Welcome to a new video. It's been a while, guys. I think the last time I put out a video was in Ultra League Remix in Season 8. To be honest, I was pretty tired of Ultra League meta because we had Ultra League right after the Ultra League Remix Cup. And to me, it was just too much of the same meta that I had to go through. So I didn't feel like it was interesting enough to put out a new video around that time. And there was some really interesting move changes for the new season, Season 9. This is a Pokemon that we're going to cover in this video, which is Cofagrigus. It now has access to the fast move Shadow Claw, which is one of the best fast moves arguably in the game. It generates energy really fast, and it hits very hard, and it's a 2-turn fast move, so you could really take advantage of that as well. So I used this team for my first 5 sets of battles in Season 9, and I went 23-2. This team is absolutely insane. I absolutely love this team. Basically, you have one Pokemon in the lead that beats pretty much all the other Pokemon in the meta with 2 shields, and then you have 2 Pokemon that covers its weaknesses. Basically, you have 2 ghosts in the back to cover for the psychics. So yeah, I absolutely love this team. If you guys have a Cofagrigus in your storage, definitely give it a try because it's just very strong. It's really tanky, and it has Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, 2 of the best move combo, honestly. So this game, let's see, we had a mirror matchup, and then I immediately swapped because I have 2 counters to Nidoqueen, and I really want to bait out if they have a dark type Pokemon. Because obviously you have 2 Pokemon in the back that are very weak to dark type. So having 2 ghosts in the back, both with Shadow Claws, obviously you're weak to normal types, you're also weak to dark types. And that's where it really differentiates between Sableye and Cofagrigus. Sableye generally has a little bit better matchup against dark type Pokemon. And then because it can hit back with its return, while Cofagrigus has trouble fighting back against a dark type Pokemon, but it can still do really well against a normal type Pokemon because it's very bulky, and it can just spam out those neutral dark pulses. Alright, so this game, we both simultaneously swapped into Sableye. I got a shield advantage, so basically I decided to just sacrifice my Sableye. I don't really care about swap advantage that much. My opponent actually had an Azumarill in the back, so I'm just going to chip down my opponent Azumarill with my Poison Fang here with the Nidoqueen, and I can just swap out into my Cofagrigus. And Cofagrigus has a really good matchup against Ghost type Pokemon. That was really weird what my opponent did, but I guess they didn't want to tank an Earth Power, right, with their Nidoqueen. So here, I believe I survived this Earth Power, so I don't shield. Like I said earlier, Cofagrigus is really tanky, and you don't really have to use shields on it. And my opponent went for a bait, which makes sense because they really need to land an Earth Power in order to win. Yeah, and there's game number 1 here. We're going to showcase. Next up, Skarmory, really bad matchup. So we're going to swap into Sableye. Fortunately, we have 2 Pokemon in the back that can do pretty well against a Skarmory, right? And then my opponent comes in with the Azumarill. Again, this matchup is also pretty fine because if your opponent doesn't shield the return, you can easily take back swap advantage. And if your opponent shield, then what you can do is just let this go down and then shield once on the Nidoqueen and just farm down this Azumarill all the way down. And I think I'm going to commit to the farm down all the way. I could have arguably just thrown my Poison Fang there, but I don't think it would take out this Azumarill. But I showed a Hydro Pump, and now I'm going to commit to the full farm down, and then I will have almost 2 Earth Power ready to go for this Skarmory. So I'm also counting my opponent's Skarmory moves. I know they're at 3 air slashes, so I'm going to throw my next Earth Power when they get to their Sky attack, which is right here. After 2 more air slashes. I really want to chip this down, and hopefully that was a CMP tie, and that was a CMP tie, so now I can just hopefully farm this Skarmory all the way down, which I think it's very likely to happen, because 8 Shadow Claws will definitely take out the Skarmory, and yeah, and they weren't able to activate the Sky attack that they just got. And it turned out they had a Medicham in the back, so I don't think it really mattered. Even if they got to the Sky attack, I could probably just safely let it go and then just commit to the farm down. And with almost 2 Shadow Balls to go, this Medicham can't really do anything. So GG to my opponent. Yeah, this team is just incredible. Because if you're able to get energy on any of the 3 Pokemon here, it can do so much work, even against its counters. Alright, next up against Medicham. Again, I have 2 really good counters in the back, so I decided to try to go for a catch for the Ice Punch. My opponent held on to their energy, but then they ended up throwing a Power-Up Punch against my Sableye, which was really weird. I'm not sure if my opponent just doesn't have an answer to Sableye, or if they think their Medicham is a better answer to this Sableye, but guys, don't do this. Medicham is really bad against Sableye, so if you ever find yourself in this matchup, please get yourself out of this matchup. I'm not going to overfarm because I already got my shield from my opponent. I'm not trying to get too greedy here. I don't want to have to shield a Power Punch, right? And then we take out the Medicham, comes in with my opponent Azumarill. So I decided to swap out here because if I let my opponent to farm down my Sableye, they could get to 2 Ice Beams, and that could be really troublesome for my Nidoqueen. And I didn't want to go down 2 shields for the Azumarill matchup, so I decided to come in with my Nidoqueen. And I could counter the Azumarill anyways with my Cofagrigus later. Not necessarily counter it, but it has play against Azumarill. And here we're just going to basically sacrifice my Nidoqueen at this point. And then I'm going to let this go as well, and then I'm basically going to commit to a full farm down with my Cofagrigus. And I still have a decent health on the Sableye, so I could still land a few fast moves later on in the game if I really want to. So here I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. I believe my opponent just got to the Ice Beam or Play Rough. And like I mentioned earlier as well, Cofagrigus is really tanky, so you don't really have to shield anything, especially for an Azumarill. The Ice Beam did like 20-30%, so we could just let that go, and we're able to land another Shadow Ball here. With 2 Shadow Balls, we should take out this Azumarill pretty comfortably, and we won the game with 2 shields remaining. Good game to my opponent. Next up, we have Nidoqueen versus Marowak. Not a great matchup, but all we have to do is swap out into Sableye. And if they have a counter to my Sableye right here, we draw out the Dark-type Pokemon. Their Umbreon is out of here, and that is really good for us, because basically we can avoid this Umbreon matchup with our Cofagrigus, and Cofagrigus is really good against the Alolan Marowak, right? Especially if we can get shields here. Even if we can't get shields here, we could still get shield with our Nidoqueen, because basically we can farm down this Umbreon and have tons of energy on this Nidoqueen, and then we can just go for the Earth Powers against their Marowak, and we will definitely get some shields back. Do I decide to shield? Okay, that was just a foul play, so I don't have to shield. Fortunately, they didn't get the Psychic off. And here, I should really just go for double Earth Power, but I make a huge misplay here, going for a bait. Because there's no reason for me to bait here when I can get to 2 Earth Power very easily. But here I'm going to go for the Earth Power. I realize that I can't bait again. And hopefully my opponent doesn't shield. My opponent does not shield. And my opponent actually had an Empoleon in the back. As many of you guys know, Empoleon is one of my favorite Pokemon. For end of season 8 leaderboard push, I also used a team with Empoleon. But for the sake of this new season video, I'm going to postpone the Empoleon video a little bit later. Probably going to think of a new team with Empoleon, but we'll have to see. But basically, this matchup is also very straightforward. Because you generate energy much faster than Empoleon, and Dark Pulse cost a little bit more than Hydro Cannon, but because you generate energy so much faster, I'm able to outpace my opponent's Empoleon just barely. I think my opponent was 1 away. Haven't really kept track of the counts here, but I think it was pretty close there. But yeah, good game to my opponent. Very close at the end there. Yeah, that's the power of Cofagrigus. It was able to soak up all those waterfalls as well. Alright, next up we saw a Bastiodon. Here I think I could have farmed up a little bit more and then swapped out. But I decided to just swap out right away into my Sableye here because it's just such a good counter against Medicham. I'm not sure if Sableye is a better response compared to Cofagrigus against Medicham. I'll have to look this up. But I'm just so used to counter swapping Medicham with my Sableye, so I came in with my Sableye right away. And my opponent didn't shield the foul play, so I'm just going to farm down my opponent. It actually came down to really close. I think my opponent got a couple free counters, which is fine because we still came up with the foul play, and this foul play is actually very important to land this chip on this Bastiodon because it puts this Bastiodon in Earth Power range. And it turned out my opponent had a Toxicroak in the back, so I'm just gonna go for a Poison Jabs to make my Shadow Claws do more damage, and basically I'm gonna commit to a full farm down. I'm pretty sure I don't have to shield anything, and I could even let my Cofagrigus go if they're able to reach a bunch of moves to take me out. But yeah, that was basically game over at that point. Because they can't take out my Nidoqueen and the Cofagrigus with the Bastiodon, right? Alright, this is a bad matchup against the Stunfisk. I go into my Sableye. My opponent comes in with the Galvantula. Galvantula is not a good response to Sableye, especially when my Sableye has loaded energy. But I don't have XL Sableye, and it actually makes a really big difference here because I was a little bit I wasn't confident if I could make to the return right here. I thought I was gonna die right there, so I decided to throw this foul play. But I actually survived this Volt Switch, so I could have made it to the return, and then I could have forced another shield from my opponent or take out this Galvantula. So a slight misplay on my side, but I really wasn't confident if my Sableye was gonna live the Volt Switch right there, so I decided to get the damage done here. But it actually gave me less farm, so it wasn't a great situation for me. And I thought my opponent was gonna come in with Galarian Stunfisk, but so I instant swapped. But my opponent actually came with Pelipper, which meant that if I just stayed in, that was actually a decent matchup for my Nidoqueen compared to the Stunfisk matchup. But for some reason, my opponent actually swapped out of that matchup, and is saving the Pelipper for my Nidoqueen, which is not. I don't really know what's going on, but I think if my opponent just kept the alignment, I think they could have just won the game, because Stunfisk is such a good response to my Nidoqueen, right? But I did have 2 shields, but because my opponent swapped into their Stunfisk, I think this matchup became a lot easier for me. Here I'm just gonna shield, trying to get this Poison Fang off. My opponent has to throw another Weather Ball to take me out, and in that meantime, I'm going to do a lot of fast move damage. And once they throw the energy, they have to throw their energy, and then my Shadow Claw will almost take out this Pelipper, right? My opponent doesn't shield. I don't think it will make a difference even if my opponent shielded, because basically they have to throw a Weather Ball, and when they get to the Weather Ball, they will be really low, and then they're going to die to the following Shadow Claws from the Cofagrigus, right? Here we're against a dark type Pokemon, Zweilous, in the lead. Obviously, we have to take this out with our Nidoqueen, so we're staying here. I'm throwing the move immediately. And then my opponent swaps into Frostlass. They still have some energy saved up on the Zweilous. Very close to a Body Slam, but not there yet. And here against the Frostlass, we're going to survive a Shadow Ball. And then we're going to go for this Foul Play. And we got a shield from my opponent. And I think I will actually match a shield right here against this Frostlass. And I'm hoping to farm this Frostlass all the way down. That way I could come out of this matchup with the return. And I'm just barely able to turn out to be really, really close. And I'm just going to throw this return. It doesn't matter what my opponent came in with. It's actually a Nidoqueen. And that's perfect because now I have alignment. I have a Ghost type Pokemon against this Nidoqueen. And then I will have my Nidoqueen against their Dark type Pokemon, right? And I think I will no shield whatever they throw right here. Again, Cofagrigus is really tanky, and you don't really have to shield many things. We would have lived the Earth Power anyways. They come in with Zweilous. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. It will still chunk a lot, because Shadow Ball just does a ton of damage, right? It's such a strong move by itself. And then we come in with Nidoqueen. My opponent didn't even throw the Body Slam, but I don't think it will really matter. My opponent stops attacking, recognizes the game is over, and GG to my opponent. Next up, we have Nidoqueen versus Greedent. Alright, so this is a normal type Pokemon that we also talked about earlier, which is going to be really bad for my team. So I have to take this out with my Nidoqueen. I'm going to no shield because Crunch now has a chance to drop defense, like we're seeing right there. So I definitely want to shield the moves that come after the debuff, right? So we're going to no shield the first Crunch, and whatever my opponent throws right here, we're going to have to shield. And I think I'm going to have to play out this matchup because I really want to win swap. Or not really win swap, but I really need to take out this Greedent because it's really bad for my back Pokemon. And I'm actually going to go for a catch right here. Recognize my opponent was going to get another Body Slam right here. So I will tank a double resisted Body Slam on the Sableye. And we still have some energy stored up on that Nidoqueen. So this is looking really good for me. And my opponent came in with a Medicham. So that must mean they have something extremely weak to Ghost type Pokemon, right? If they're weak to your Sableye, they're probably weak to your Cofagrigus as well. And that's the beauty of playing ABB team, which is something that I really enjoy playing. Is when you're playing ABB team, if you win lead and you win the swap, basically it doesn't matter if your opponent has something that they're trying to bait out, because you have two of the same back Pokemon, right? Like here, my opponent probably usually wants to bait out a dark Pokemon or Ghost type Pokemon, but even if they baited out one of them, I still have another one right here with this Cofagrigus, and this should be a wrap because I have two Ghosts and they have two Psychics in the back. This should be game over. And GG to my opponent. Next up, we have Nidoqueen, Umbreon. Again, this is one of the tougher matchups where you have to rely on your Nidoqueen. And a lot of times, I will go down shields to, make sure that my Nidoqueen lives. Because a lot of times, Nidoqueen with energy and health can really do a lot of things later on. So my opponent didn't even build up to a Psychic, so I didn't need to shield right there, but I will shield this one. I'm usually fine with going down 2 shields in the Umbreon matchup, because generally they will shield the second move, depending on the person. But if they don't shield this, I'm pretty sure they die in 2 more poison jabs, which means they're not going to get to another Foul Play. But I'm going to get another Poison Fang right here. And that's the thing about this matchup as well, is that if your opponent shields one of the poison fangs, they will have to shield another one. And now we're basically in a 2-shield matchup, and we're able to comfortably take the win here. And then we have our Nidoqueen with a lot of energy loaded, and then my opponent had a freaking Lairon. Because we have so much energy loaded, we're just gonna take out my opponent's Lairon with 1 Earth Power. Double super effective. And then my opponent had a Vaporeon in the back. I definitely do not recommend these 2 Pokemon that you guys just saw in Galvantula League, especially Great League. Vaporeon is very, very glassy, and it doesn't have a great moveset. And then what was the other Pokemon? It was Lairon. If you have Bastiodon, play Bastiodon, don't play Lairon. It's basically a Walmart Bastiodon, right? Alright, next up, a very favorable lead against Galvantula. So obviously we're going to stay in here. I think I make a misplay here by throwing energy, because this matchup is so dominant for Nidoqueen that you could just farm all the way down and force your opponent to eventually swap out. And my opponent can only get to 1 move here. If they have an energy ball, it probably does the most damage here, but it was just a launch. So I still have energy coming out of this matchup, and my opponent has a Medicham. I will swap out into my Sableye. My opponent has a Azumarill in the back, and this is absolutely beautiful because now we have our Cofagrigus matched up against a Medicham. And we just need to take out this Azumarill with our Sableye and with our Nidoqueen, and then that's basically game over. The only hope my opponent has right now is on this Azumarill, and they even go for Ice Beam, which doesn't take out my Sableye, so I'm able to land another return right here. We either get a shield or we almost take out this Azumarill, and yeah. We still have energy loaded. I believe I just come in with my Nidoqueen here and go for the Poison Fang. I really want this damage on this Azumarill. And do I need to shield here? I believe I actually double shield right here. Because I think my opponent is 1 counter away from their Ice Punch. But my opponent swaps in here, does 1 counter, and now is able to get 1 more shield from me. And I'm going to farm up to a Poison Fang, and then I'm going to swap out into Cofagrigus, and basically I could just go for a Dark Pulse and take out this Medicham before they get to another move. And Azumarill would have to throw 2 moves, I think. I don't think 1 move will take out Cofagrigus. And if they do, it has to be Hydro Pump, which will dry all my opponent's energy. And then I can just go for the Poison Fang in the back with my Nidoqueen to take this win. My opponent actually only has Play Rough and Ice Beam, and that's definitely game over. Play Rough, we are comfortably living that. Next up we have Nidoqueen, Bastiodon. Pretty favorable lead generally. The annoying thing is that you have to land 2 Earth Power because 1 doesn't KO. Here we see a Mew coming out as my opponent's safe swap. I'm going to go for a Poison Fang right here. And then I'm going to go into my Sableye, hoping to farm this Mew all the way down. If I snuck a move through there, I think we're able to farm down this Mew all the way without having to shield. But I think now I have to... Actually, it doesn't matter because my opponent got to another Surf anyways. Okay, I actually no shield anyways because I know that was a Surf for sure and it wasn't a Wild Charge. And I could just farm down the Mew all the way down. And again, whenever you come out of this matchup with Sableye, with the Foul Play, with energy, this is generally really, really good. Because now you put this Bastiodon in 1 Earth Power range. And that's very, very important in this matchup. Otherwise, it's very, very awkward because the poison moves really don't do any damage to the Bastiodon. And with Earth Power, you could... generally, you need 2 Earth Powers to take out the Bastiodon, so it's really, really awkward, right? And my opponent has a Pelipper, so this is actually the team that Caleb Pang likes to play. But I think they generally safe swap Pelipper If they safe swap Palipir, it will be a little bit tougher for me, but I think it's still a very manageable game here. Basically, I'm just going to no shield and save my Nidoqueen for the end game, because my Nidoqueen will win the game for us against the Bastiodon, right? So here we're gonna go for the Dark Pulse, and my opponent has to throw their energy. If they do decide to throw energy, unless there is some massive lag spike. Alright, there was some really big lag and my opponent was able to swap out into their Bastiodon, but that's totally fine. We still have 2 shields. It doesn't matter if I landed the move there. I really was trying to stall the timer so that I could swap out, but fortunately the timer, unfortunately the timer didn't come up, so I had to basically let the Cofagrigus go down. Here I have to farm up to 2 moves, or just throw when they get to another one right here. And I think we also have a Poison Fang right here, and because we have a shield, we can just go for this CMP tie that we're going to lose, but we can just comfortably shield right here, and then we get off this Poison Fang in order to take the win right here. It turned out to be a really close game, but we're able to win the game right here at the end. And next game is against Bastiodon. Okay, I think this is the game where I lost, and you guys are gonna see why. My opponent had a Shadow Victory Bell in the back, and they got 2 free Razor Leaves. They got 1 Razor Leaf on the swap, and then they snuck 1 in right here, which is really bad for me. And then coming with my Cofagrigus, and my opponent got 4 Razor Leaves against my 3 Shallow Claws again for some reason. So this was again really unfavorable for me. I think I couldn't farm this down because of what happened there, and there was another desync happening. Desyncs really matter when your opponent or when one of your teams is very fast move heavy. So I think I should have committed to the full farm down, because that will also make myself a little bit lower. Now I'm giving more farm to this Bastiodon, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess what the other Pokemon they have in the back, right? You know, the Bastiodon Lead. They safe swapped a Razor Leafer, and I guess that's a big weakness for this team, is that you really don't have, you can't deal against these fast move pressure teams. So we swap into our Sableye, and then of course they have another Razor Leaf user in the back with Tropius, and Tropius is really tanky, so this is just terrible for me. And at this point I don't think there's a way for me to win this game. I'm going to shield here, and I have to massively over farm, but it doesn't really matter because my opponent can just save a shield for the Bastiodon. And yeah, I don't have a shield right here, and this Bastiodon can just save the shield and probably just farm, just smack down my entire team down. And basically I'm kind of dying to the fast moves. Now I'm going to swap into my Nidoqueen. I realize that I'm going to get farmed down with my Nidoqueen against my opponent Bastiodon, and that's not a good feeling. Having a ground type being farmed down by a rock type move, and they have a move loaded, so I decided to surrender right there. And I think this was the last game I played for the first day of Go Battle League Season 7. Again, they're coming with Mew. I actually made a different play than last time. Last time I threw my Poison Fang and then swapped out. This time I decided to catch a Surf onto my Sableye, and I'm gonna play out this matchup. I'm gonna go for a CMP tie right here with my Foul Play. If my opponent shields, I kind of have to match shields. My opponent does shield. That means I have to match shields in order to maintain alignment. And I think maintaining alignment is really important in this matchup, because Cofagrigus is not that great against Bastiodon, and having Nidoqueen against the Bastiodon is very nice. So I'm gonna go down 2 shields, but I'm able to farm down the Mew, and let's see, does my opponent come back in with this Bastiodon? There are so many Bastiodons currently in Go Battle League, or in Great League, because it's just such a good Pokemon, right? which makes sense to me. Can I get to another foul play right here? It doesn't really matter if I get to another foul play right here, because they're already within the range of a Earth Power from my Nidoqueen, and I'm pretty close to the Earth Power right here. But I'm going to over farm right here. I live whatever move they throw against me with their Bastiodon, just a flamethrower, and then they come in with the Shadow Machamp, and I have 3 counters to Shadow Machamp basically, and Sableye is probably my worst Pokemon against the Shadow Machamp. And here I'm gonna farm to Earth Power, and then I'm gonna swap into my Cofagrigus to catch whatever they throw right here. Probably cross drop. Doesn't do anything. And I farm down the Shadow Machamp. I have a Earth Power loaded in the back, so basically I just have to grab the last shield from my opponent right here. And I think my opponent Bastiodon can't even take out my Cofagrigus at this point, because Cofagrigus probably lives whatever my opponent throws right here. Even if it doesn't, it's totally fine, because you guys know that we have a Earth Power stored, and even if they took me out right there, I can still land the Earth Power to win the game. But we're able to survive and get off the Shadow Ball to win this game. Cofagrigus, absolute beast. If you guys have access to this Pokemon, definitely give it a try. You guys can see that we lost to Grass Hole team, unfortunately, but we were able to win 23 games, and we only had 2 losses. And with this team, I played this team for all 25 games, and I had so much fun with this team. I think Shadow Claw is just Shadow with Ghost type Pokemon is just a lot of fun to play with, because you're able to get a lot of energy. And then with the energy, they can usually hit hard against so many other Pokemon for at least neutral or super effective, right? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these battles. Let me know what you think of this Pokemon Cofagrigus. What do you guys think about the new season with the new move updates? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys next time.